Okay, I also have something about the alien armada. Now, again, the elements in this don't have to necessarily be literal because but I'll read it here and give my little view on it. In this experience, the scene would open up to the inside of an alien spacecraft where DUANE would be standing, including other aware beings and myself. We were on the Earth with the craft's boarding ramp down, taking those who could find us into refuge as imminently an asteroid the size of a mountain was coming down, maybe 50 miles from our position, but the sheer size of it made it seem as if it was only a few miles away instead. It began to make impact with the Earth, and the ground melted, even on close proximity, and turned red hot. We stayed as long as we could, but to avoid our own destruction, we again waited up until the last second for those who found us, but then we shut our doors and went off world in the blink of an eye, out of the way of the devastation. After the doors closed, it went dark in the ship, and I could see a golden guide's face in front of me, and a simple impression came: this is now. And the word now, and the word now repeated over and over again until it rang like a bell, which shook me awake. Now that sounds a little more grim, but I was looking at it in that the asteroid doesn't necessarily have to be literal, like a literal asteroid coming. It could just again have that very strong impression that it's coming again to the Earth, that this is something that is going to take place in the physical realm. And it was very interesting that like in Kevin's experience, we were just kind of taking people on board. It wasn't necessarily just certain people. It was just the people that had decided to come. So that was my little experience to share. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, it's like in Kevin's experience, well, it's more opportunistic or more elevated or more hopeful. You could say that at least everybody gets the opportunity, and the controllers are trying to just, wave it off as delusion. But everybody gets the opportunity, and those that are aware get to go or get to do something better for themselves. So there's more opportunity for everybody, which is cool. So yeah, thanks, Jeremy. That's good. It's a good view too. There's all kinds of different ways to look at it. So thank you very much.
In this experience, I would find myself on a planet that was lush and forest-filled. A guide walked me through on a type of hike, and on this journey I had my left pocket filled with marbles, which I dropped, and they went rolling down the cliffside to my left. And I had this idea that I had lost my marbles. Sounds funny enough, but in losing them, I was concerned that they would pollute this otherwise pristine natural environment. But the guide came back to my position to say it was all okay, and ushered me to continue on. Of course, there are many ways to see such an event, with the idea of polluting the environment around me. All those little marbles are like the ideas one carries, and of course they are man-made, not natural, but in losing them, I no longer carry them. So regardless of what the mind may conjure up, the ideas created or our associated attachments to them have nothing to do with our real awareness journey, and are, you might say, a part of the forest itself, as this can be seen as creation. So again, the idea of not wanting to pollute the forest around me, a mental idea, as we know, the forests are all polluted by what the unaware controllers continue to do to this planet Earth. So now me and the guide continue on, and I meet with some inhabitants of this planet who are in what could be described as mythical body forms, creatures and characters from tales. I recognized who they were and was able to relate to them as if we had always known or been aware of each other. Other aware folks, including myself, would board a spacecraft with our associates, which our associates, helped fix for us, and we would set off for another planet, very similar to the one from the Dune series called Arrakis. It was a harsh desert planet under the complete domination of one ruling force or house, much like the Harkonnen, again from the Dune series. Our objective on this planet was simple: infiltrate and see if we could not do something about the conditions here, reach those who are wanting to step up fully, and perhaps even get the rulers here to listen to what we are presenting so we could shift the whole consciousness of the planet and its people. So we set up these mock houses in the desert, which would undoubtedly become spotted by the controllers. And without a doubt, one day, a whole battalion of soldiers came marching over the dunes, while some associates and I were going over our plans. They wore black armor and carried knives and swords, and some soldiers carried a pole with their house's banner plastered onto it, covered in black ink with the logo in white. I recall being a little scared, but I did what I practiced doing when situations like this come. I focus on my real awareness and look at what is really going on. They have no power and no control. It's all phony, and I will always be okay with my real awareness, even if the body is destroyed. So, more centered now and with a little courage, I walked out of the house and faced all of them. At the front of this army was a man who I can only assume was the head soldier or commander, and to his right was maybe the king or prince. But curiously enough, neither of them spoke to me or even looked at me. They seemed to be grayed out, as if they were made of smoke, and in front of both of them, staring directly at me, was a woman, the only character wearing white. It was a white shirt-like dress and long or tall black boots. Her hair was blonde and slicked back, much in a masculine style, and she paced from left to right, observing me as if she could not get closer. Looking at the scene, much, if not the whole army, was carrying this curious gray color, which was like gray smoke, and it was more than obvious they were under her control. From this point, she ordered that my associates and myself be imprisoned, and so it was. We were taken across the desert to their kingdom, which amidst all the sand was turned into a type of modern luxury resort. With water features and skyscrapers, the look of it would certainly sell to tourists, because that's what it was all about. The facade to hide what it was that was really going on. And so we went through certain routines as prisoners and we played the role. But while all of this is going on, the queen here, the quote unquote queen, was becoming rather interested in us, our group, and why we were here in the first place, asking where we came from and who we were. All of these conversations I do not recall, but I was watching them like a movie scene from the background. I would stand as she lay on her gilded throne, which of course stood high up above the floor, and I would share with her what we are doing and part of why we are here. And through this series of communications, we were released, but under strict supervision. Our mock houses completely bugged and wiretapped, cameras and all. Shortly thereafter, the scene would come to a close, but I had an idea, seeing as this so-called royal family was now very intrigued by us and listening and watching all the time. So they would pick up the references and hints to even more, references to the is and their real awareness. And that was my little experience to share.
Okay, cool, Jeremy. Scary, huh? So you're on another planet now. This is not the planet we're going to.
No, but I was even looking at it that I see that this is related to the Armada event, because as we're there trying to shift everything to more of a benefit, perhaps it even allows for the Armada to go there and, get some of these people who are wanting to step up, because right now they're under this total, complete control.
Yeah, that's like everywhere, isn't it? Yeah, and we're on planet Earth here, so we'll see what happens through all of this, and eventually actually finding a place that makes sense in creation. Yeah, it's so infested everywhere. Oh, that's terrific. That's a fun tale. Fun to hear those things. Thank you so much.